I started working at a software company when I was 24 years old. After years of saving, I finally bought my first house, a modest three-bedroom in a nice neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. When I showed my family, I expected congratulations. Instead, I got criticism. 2 weeks later, I received court papers. My parents were suing me for my house, claiming it should go to my sister. I never imagined my own family would drag me to court. If you are watching this, drop a comment letting me know where you are from, and hit subscribe to hear how I defended myself without a lawyer and what happened next. Growing up in Westfield, Michigan, I always felt like an outsider in my own family. My parents, Robert and Nancy, made it no secret that my sister Amanda was their favorite. On her 16th birthday, Amanda got a car. On mine, I got a used bicycle. When Amanda made the cheerleading squad, my parents threw a party. When I made honor roll 3 years straight, they put my certificate on the refrigerator for a week before it disappeared. I learned early that if I wanted anything in life, I would have to get it myself. While Amanda received new clothes every school year, I worked weekends at the local grocery store to buy mine. When college applications came around, my parents sat with Amanda for hours discussing her options. For me, they simply said, "State schools are more affordable." The message was clear. Amanda was the golden child, and I was an afterthought. So at 18, I moved out. I found a small apartment with 2 roommates and enrolled in community college while working full-time at an electronics store. Every semester, I transferred those credits to the state university, taking night classes and weekend courses, until I finally earned my degree in computer science. Those years were tough. There were nights I survived on ramen noodles and coffee, weekends when friends invited me out, and I had to say no because I was either working or studying. My parents rarely called to check on me. When I did visit home for holidays, the conversation always drifted to Amanda's latest achievements or problems, never my struggles or successes. After graduating, I landed an entry-level programming job at a small tech startup. The pay was not great, but it was a foot in the door. I worked 60-hour weeks, took on every project nobody else wanted, and spent my evenings learning new programming languages to make myself more valuable. My hard work paid off. Within 2 years, I was promoted to senior programmer. A year after that, I received an offer from a larger company with better benefits and a substantial salary increase. 3 years later, I made another jump to become a development team lead at one of the most respected tech firms in our region. Throughout this time, I continued living modestly. While colleagues bought luxury cars or took expensive vacations, I drove the same reliable sedan and put my bonuses directly into savings. My goal was clear: I wanted to own a home. Not just any rental or condo, but a house that belonged to me that I could modify and make my own. A place where I could finally feel the security I never had growing up. Meanwhile, Amanda's life took a different direction. Despite our parents offering to pay her full tuition, she dropped out of college after 1 semester, claiming it wasn't her thing. She cycled through retail jobs, waitressing positions, and administrative roles, never staying anywhere longer than 6 months. When her first serious boyfriend proposed, my parents paid for an extravagant wedding. 6 months later, when the marriage fell apart, they welcomed her back home. This pattern repeated twice more. Amanda would move out with a new boyfriend, things would fall apart, and she would return to our parents' house. By her early 30s, she was divorced with 2 children and once again living with our parents. Through it all, Robert and Nancy supported her financially. They bought clothes for her kids, paid off her credit card debt, and never asked for anything in return. When I visited, Amanda would often make comments like, "Must be nice to only have yourself to worry about," or "Some of us have real responsibilities." Last year, after nearly a decade of saving, I finally had enough for a down payment on a house. I spent months looking before finding the perfect place, a 3-bedroom colonial in a great school district. The house needed work, outdated kitchen carpeting that had seen better days, and a backyard that had been neglected. But the bones were good, and I saw its potential. The day I signed the closing papers was one of the proudest of my life. I took a picture of myself holding the keys and posted it online with the caption, "Homeowner at last. Friends and coworkers congratulated me." My parents responded with a brief congratulations text 3 days later. Every weekend for 6 months, I worked on renovating my new home. I taught myself plumbing basics from YouTube videos. I ripped out carpets and installed hardwood floors. I painted every room, replaced light fixtures, and landscaped the yard. What started as a fixer-upper gradually transformed into my dream home, and its value increased substantially in the process. Through all the scraped knuckles and sore muscles, I felt a deep satisfaction. This house represented everything I had worked for and the independence I had fought to achieve. Every nail I hammered, every wall I painted, was a testament to my journey. When the renovations were mostly complete, I invited my family over for dinner. I wanted to share my accomplishment with them, hoping that maybe now they would see my value. As they walked through the house, I eagerly pointed out all the improvements I had made. My mother walked through the upstairs bedrooms and remarked, "This is too big for just one person. What a waste of space." My father nodded in agreement. "Now that you have got all this, you should think about helping out the family more. Your sister is really struggling." Amanda said nothing during the tour, but I caught her opening closets and cabinet doors, examining everything with a critical eye. During dinner, she asked questions about the neighborhood, the schools, and how much I had paid. Something about her interest made me uncomfortable. As we ate the meal I had prepared, my mother suddenly said, "You know, Jim, your sister and the kids really need more space. They are cramped up in those 2 bedrooms at our house." I nodded politely. "I am sure they will find a nice place when Amanda gets back on her feet." Actually, my father interjected, "We were thinking this would be perfect for them." I put down my fork. "What do you mean?" "This house," my mother gestured around. "It makes more sense for Amanda and the kids to live here. They need the space more than you do. You are just one person." I stared at them, thinking it must be a joke, but their expressions were serious. "This is my house," I said slowly. "I worked for years to afford it. I spent months renovating it. But family helps family," my father insisted. "You have a good job. You can get another place." Amanda finally spoke up. "My kids deserve a nice neighborhood like this." "You are being selfish, Jim." The word selfish hit me like a slap. After everything I had done on my own, after all the years of working while they supported Amanda through every mistake they had, the audacity to call me selfish. "I think dinner is over," I said, standing up. "I am not giving anyone my house. I worked too hard for it." Amanda burst into tears. My mother comforted her while glaring at me. My father shook his head in disappointment. I showed them to the door, my hands shaking with anger and hurt. That night, I received a barrage of text messages. My mother wrote, "I raised you better than this. My father family should come first." Amanda. "My kids will remember how their uncle refused to help them." I did not respond. I needed time to process the fact that my family saw me not as someone who had achieved something impressive, but as a resource to be tapped for Amanda's benefit once again. In the weeks that followed that disastrous dinner, the pressure from my family intensified. My parents called daily, alternating between guilt trips and anger. "After all we have done for you," my mother would say, though I struggled to recall what exactly they had done. My father took a more direct approach. A real man would put family first. I stopped answering their calls, which only escalated the situation. Then, one Saturday morning, they showed up at my door, unannounced. Amanda was with them along with her children, 7-year-old Emma and 5-year-old Lucas. "We thought we would take another look at the house," my father said, pushing past me into the entryway. "The kids should see their potential new home." I was too shocked to stop them as they filed in. My mother immediately began pointing out features to the children. Look at this nice big living room where you can play, and Lucas, this smaller bedroom would be perfect for you. Amanda wandered through the house with a measuring tape, writing down dimensions in a small notebook. I need to see if my furniture will fit, she explained when she caught me watching her. This is not happening, I finally said firmly. I am not giving you my house, Amanda. She ignored me and continued measuring the master bedroom. My bed will fit perfectly here. This closet is much bigger than the one I have now. After they left, I felt violated. This was my home, my sanctuary, and they had waltzed in as if they already owned it. Later that evening, I realized I could not find my spare house key, which I usually kept in a drawer in the kitchen. A sick feeling washed over me as I searched everywhere without success. 3 days later, I came home from work to find Amanda in my kitchen unloading groceries into my refrigerator. Her kids were upstairs jumping on the bed in the guest room. "What the hell are you doing in my house?" I demanded. Amanda barely glanced at me, getting things ready. "The kids and I are moving in this weekend. Mom and Dad think it is for the best if we just get settled. You will understand eventually." I was speechless. "How did you get in here?" She dangled a key in front of me. "Took it during the visit. You really should be more careful with your spare keys." Something in me snapped. "Get out. Now. Take the kids and leave, or I am calling the police." "You would not dare," she scoffed. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. I did not press call, but the gesture was enough. Amanda's face darkened. "You have always been a selfish jerk," she spat, gathering her children. "Mom and Dad were right about you." After they left, I immediately called a locksmith and had all the locks changed. I installed a security system the following weekend. For the next few weeks, things were quiet. Too quiet. I began to hope that perhaps my family had finally gotten the message. Then came the certified letter. I remember staring at the envelope, my name and address printed in formal type. When I opened it and began reading, my hands started trembling so badly I had to sit down. My parents were suing me for my house. The letter from their attorney alleged that they had provided financial assistance for my down payment with the verbal agreement that the house would be for the whole family. It claimed I had taken advantage of them and had broken our agreement. They were demanding that I either sign the house over to Amanda or sell it and split the proceeds. It was all lies. Every dollar that went into my house had come from my own earnings. There had never been any agreement, verbal or otherwise. My parents had never given me a cent toward the down payment. I felt physically ill. The betrayal was so complete, so breathtaking, that I could barely process it. My own parents were not just asking, not just pressuring, but legally trying to take away everything I had worked for. I called several lawyers the next day. Their retainer fees ranged from $3,000 to $5,000, with hourly rates that made my stomach clench. After years of saving for my house, and then putting money into renovations, my savings were depleted. I could not afford proper legal representation. That night, I sat in my living room, a room I had painted myself with furniture. I had carefully selected, looking around at everything I stood to lose. I made a decision I would represent myself in court. I might not have a law degree, but I had the truth on my side, and I would not let them take what was rightfully mine without a fight. The weeks before the court date were a blur of preparation. I took time off work to research property law at the local library. I printed out every bank statement, every mortgage document, and every receipt for home improvements. I compiled a timeline of texts and emails between my parents and me, none of which mentioned any agreement about the house being for Amanda. I practiced my arguments in front of the bathroom mirror until the early hours of the morning. I rehearsed answers to potential questions until the words became automatic. Friends from work expressed shock when I told them what was happening. My boss, understanding the situation, gave me flexibility with my schedule. Family should not treat family this way, my coworker Thomas said, shaking his head. "If you need anything, just ask." The morning of the court date arrived with a beautiful sunrise that I barely noticed. I dressed in my best suit, gathered my documents in a leather portfolio I had bought specifically for this purpose, and drove to the county courthouse. My stomach was in knots, and I had not been able to eat breakfast. The courtroom was smaller than I had imagined, with wooden benches and fluorescent lighting that buzzed overhead. I sat alone on the right side, arranging my documents with trembling hands. When my parents and Amanda entered with their attorney, a polished-looking woman in an expensive suit, they did not even glance in my direction. They sat on the left side, my parents whispering to each other, while Amanda stared straight ahead. When the judge entered, a middle-aged woman with silver-streaked hair and sharp eyes, everyone rose. As she called the case, I felt a moment of surreal detachment. How had it come to this? My own family, trying to take my home through the courts. The plaintiff's attorney spoke first, her voice smooth and professional. She outlined their case. My parents had allegedly provided substantial financial assistance for the down payment on my house, with the understanding that it would benefit the entire family, particularly Amanda and her children who were in need of stable housing. According to her, I had agreed to this arrangement and then reneged once the purchase was complete. "Your Honor," she concluded, "this is a simple matter of a verbal contract and a son who has chosen financial gain over family obligation." When it was my turn to speak, I took a deep breath to steady myself. I had practiced this moment countless times, but standing there facing the judge with my family watching was intimidating in a way I had not anticipated. "Your Honor," I began, my voice initially wavering but growing stronger, "everything you have just heard is completely false. I purchased my home entirely with my own money saved over many years of hard work. My parents did not contribute a single dollar to the down payment, the closing costs, or any renovations. I presented my complete financial records, showing the trail of money from my paychecks to my savings account to the down payment. I submitted bank statements demonstrating that no transfers had ever come from my parents' accounts to mine. If there had been any agreement about this house being for my sister, I continued, why is there not a single email, text message, or written record of any kind? I presented a printed email from my father sent 3 days after I bought the Hous house that read, "Congratulations on your new house, Jim. It is a big step. Not our new house, your new house." As I spoke, I noticed the judge studying my parents with increasing skepticism. When I described finding Amanda in my home with a stolen key, the judge's eyebrows rose sharply. "Furthermore, Your Honor, I said I have text messages from after I purchased the house where my family first asks, then demands, that I give my sister my home. If there was a pre-existing agreement, why would they need to ask at all?" I presented the text messages, which clearly showed the progression from asking to demanding. The judge reviewed them carefully, then looked at my parents' attorney. "Counselor, how do you explain these messages that clearly contradict your client's claim of a prior agreement?" The attorney conferred briefly with my parents before responding. "Your Honor, the agreement was verbal and predated these messages. My clients were simply reminding Mr. Morris of his obligations." The judge turned to my parents directly. "Mr. and Mrs. Morris, when exactly did you provide this financial assistance to your son for the down payment?" My father shifted uncomfortably. "We gave him money throughout his life, for college, for other things. Specifically for the house," the judge pressed. "When did you provide money specifically for this house purchase?" My mother jumped in. "We always told him any money we gave him was an investment in the family's future. So you did not directly contribute to the down payment on this specific property?" the judge asked pointedly. My parents glanced at each other. The courtroom was silent. "Not in a direct bank transfer. No," my father finally admitted. "Your Honor," I interjected, "my parents did not pay for my college education. I have my student loan statements here, showing I financed my own education entirely." I have lived independently since I was 18 years old. The judge nodded and turned back to my parents. Why exactly do you believe your daughter should have this house? My mother straightened in her seat. Amanda has 2 children. They need stability and a good school district. Jim is single. He does not need all that space. So this is about need, not about a prior agreement, the judge clarified. The attorney tried to intervene, but the judge held up her hand. I want to hear from the plaintiffs directly. My father spoke up, his frustration evident. We need Amanda to be settled somewhere soon because we are planning to sell our house. This was news to me. I looked up in surprise. The judge noticed. Mr. Morris, were you aware of your parents' plans to sell their home? No, Your Honor. This is the first I am hearing of it. The judge turned back to my parents. Please explain. My mother sighed. We have been planning to move to Florida for retirement. We put our house on the market last month. We cannot take Amanda and the children with us to a retirement community, so we need her situated. So the judge said slowly, this lawsuit is not about any financial contribution to your son's house purchase. It is about finding housing for your daughter before you move to Florida. My parents looked uncomfortable. Their attorney tried to redirect the conversation, but the damage was done. The judge asked Amanda to approach the bench. Miss Thompson, the judge, addressed my sister by her married name. What is your understanding of the agreement regarding your brother's house? Amanda glanced at our parents before answering. I always understood that Jim would help the family once he was successful. He can afford another house. I cannot afford any house. But was there a specific agreement about this particular house? The judge pressed. Amanda faltered. Not in those exact words, but it was implied. Family helps family. The judge looked at all 3 of them for a long moment. I have heard enough. This court finds no evidence whatsoever of any agreement, verbal or otherwise, regarding the plaintiff's contribution to the defendant's home purchase. She continued, her voice stern. Furthermore, I find this lawsuit frivolous and potentially malicious. The defendant has clearly established that he purchased his home independently. The plaintiffs appear to be using this court to solve a family housing issue of their own making. She dismissed the case in my favor and advised my parents that pursuing this further could result in sanctions. As she stood to leave, she paused and looked directly at me. Mr. Morris, the court recognizes your right to your property acquired through your own hard work and diligence. I am sorry that this family matter had to be resolved in my courtroom. As the courtroom emptied, my parents and Amanda filed out without looking at me. Their attorney lingered behind, approaching me awkwardly. For what it is worth, she said quietly, I did not know all the details when I took this case. I am sorry. I nodded too, emotionally drained to respond. I sat alone in the emptying courtroom, the leather portfolio open on my lap. I had won. My house was secure. But in that moment, victory felt hollow. I had lost my family in the process. I drove home from the courthouse in a daze. The house that had once represented achievement and security now felt tainted by betrayal. I walked through the rooms that evening, touching the walls I had painted, looking at the floors I had installed, and feeling strangely disconnected from it all. The weeks that followed were some of the loneliest of my life. I threw myself into work, staying late at the office, because going home meant facing the silence. No more texts or calls came from my family. It was as if they had decided that if they could not have my house, they would not have me either. The holidays approached, and for the first time I had nowhere to go for Thanksgiving. When Thomas, my coworker, heard this, he immediately invited me to join his family. Nobody should be alone on Thanksgiving, he insisted. My wife makes enough food for an army anyway. I reluctantly accepted, expecting an awkward experience. Instead, I found myself welcomed into a warm, chaotic household full of genuine affection. Thomas's wife, Kate, hugged me like an old friend. Their teenage children included me in their board games after dinner. For a few hours, I remembered what it felt like to be valued simply for my presence, not for what I could provide. That experience sparked something in me. I realized that while I had lost my biological family, I was not doomed to a life of isolation. I began saying yes to social invitations I would have declined before. I joined a community garden project where I put my newly acquired home improvement skills to use building planters and irrigation systems. Through the garden, I met Sandra, an elementary school teacher, with a quick laugh and thoughtful eyes. Our friendship developed naturally as we worked side by side on Saturdays planting vegetables and discussing books, movies, and eventually our lives. When I finally told her about my family and the lawsuit, she did not offer empty platitudes. Instead, she simply said, "They missed out on knowing an extraordinary person." Those words meant more to me than she knew. 6 months after the court case, I received an unexpected email from my father. It was brief. "Jim, I hope you are doing well. Things are different here. Your mother and I have been doing some thinking. If you are willing, I would like to talk." I sat on that email for days, unsure how to respond. Part of me wanted to ignore it to protect myself from further hurt, but another part recognized that people can change, that relationships can evolve. I finally replied with an equally brief message: "I am willing to listen, but on my terms. We can meet for coffee next Saturday." My father came alone to the coffee shop. He looked older than I remembered, more subdued. He spoke carefully, as if measuring each word. "We were wrong, Jim. Completely wrong. What we tried to do to you was unforgivable." He explained that after losing the lawsuit, they had gone ahead with selling their house. Amanda had been forced to find her own apartment and job for the first time in years. The process had been difficult for everyone. "I realized something during all this," he continued. "We failed both of our children. We spoiled Amanda to the point of helplessness, and we neglected you to the point of estrangement. Neither was right." He did not ask for forgiveness or for a relationship to resume immediately. He simply wanted to acknowledge the wrong that had been done and open the door to possible reconciliation in the future. I appreciated his honesty and the lack of pressure. We agreed to occasional emails, a slow rebuilding of trust. My mother eventually reached out as well, though her pride made her apology more difficult. Amanda remained distant still, believing she had been entitled to my home. As months passed, I created a new definition of family. Sandra and I began dating, her warmth and authenticity, a constant reminder of what healthy relationships should feel like. Thomas and Kate included me in family gatherings until it no longer felt like I was a guest, but a genuine part of their extended circle. My neighbors, fellow gardeners, and co-workers formed a community around me that was chosen, not obligated. My house transformed as well. What had once been a symbol of individual achievement became a gathering place. I hosted dinner parties in the dining room I had renovated. Children from the community garden came over for educational workshops in the backyard. The guest room that Amanda had once measured for her bed instead welcomed friends from out of town. Today, a year and a half after that court case, I can look back with clarity. Standing up for myself was one of the hardest things I have ever done, but also one of the most necessary. I learned that true family respects boundaries and celebrates achievements rather than trying to claim them. I discovered that chosen family can be just as meaningful, sometimes more so than biological connections. My relationship with my parents is slowly healing, though it will never be what it might have been. We meet occasionally for lunch, keeping conversations light and respectful. My mother has finally stopped making comments about the size of my house. My father has shown genuine interest in my work for the first time. Amanda and I remain distant, though I send birthday gifts to her children. The most important lesson I learned through all of this is that you can love someone while still maintaining healthy boundaries. Standing up for yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. And sometimes, the family you build through friendship and mutual respect is the family that truly enriches your life. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who crossed your boundaries? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments below. If you found value in my story, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more real-life experiences. Share this video with someone who might need to hear that it is okay to protect what they have worked hard for. Thank you for listening, and remember you deserve respect, especially from those who claim to love you.